here. Let's first take it from the top. What episode is this? 44, right? 44.
44.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Voices of Verra, myself, Nice Gaming. And is there no one else? We could not do this without you, the Voices of Verra. We've come so far. We come so far. We have a big stream, a big stream ahead for you. So we just got through reviewing the new stream today. That is the Mage, not the Mage, excuse me, the Lighting and Desert Showcase.
Okay.
And yeah, I am excited to get to the next portion. But first, before we do that else, let us know what you think. What'd you think of I know you did a video. I actually listened to your video.
Oh no.
But let's give your thoughts on the let's get your feedback on the showcase. What are your critiques? What are your positives? What are your overall thoughts?
So I want to start off by saying live stream of the year was last month.
You reeled me back in.
No, sorry, I had to. No, in all seriousness, this isn't what I expected. I love doing like what we expect is going to happen beforehand, so that we can be honest about what we think is going to happen. And I came out front. I was like, yeah, I think we're going to see what happens at nighttime in Verra. And I mean, we kind of saw that, but this was, I mean, let's be honest, this was a little bit more of a filler stream, which is fine, because the filler was literally fixing reiterating all of the issues people have had with the game. Like we've talked about it on this podcast, all the different things that we think needs to be improved for this game. And they're like, okay, we'll just make it a live stream and we will hit every single one. And so in my opinion, if this is what you're going to do, like for a stream where it's like you're segueing to a bigger and more grand stream, it was a good way to do it. It was a really good way to do it.
Nice.
What do you think?
Nice. Overall, I'm with you. It could be looked at as a filler stream to me, and I hate to just be looking like I'm just Jack and Stevens PR words here, but when he said it, I was like, yeah, that was the same vibes I got. Like it was basically like, hey, sieges are not ready. What can we show them?
Yeah.
But it was like a gathering of it was a showcase of all feedback that has been met by Intrepid. I think that's really what it was. The visual clutter complaints, the what was it? The lighting, like it was good. I will say this: had this same exact stream been in the Riverlands, I would have probably gave it a low rating. Even if they showed us most of the same thing, like, and when I say low, I mean like how people in chat were, no, okay, maybe not like 5. Some people in chat were saying like a 5. I'm not gonna say no names like HD, but like some people were giving it like a 5. I'm like, all right, we finally got to see a new biome, but I would give it like a 6 or 7. Actually, I still might give this a 7, maybe a 8, just because I like that how they showed that they gave us, how they showed that they listened to our feedback. So that's really big to me. But if I was honest, if this was in the Riverlands again, it would be like, I mean, okay, super filler. But
sure,
I'm glad that they at least showed us a new biome to show this. And with the topic that they gave us that they're showing next month in Node Wars, I mean, hey, take y'all time. Like,
yeah.
thank you for this little sample. I'll be back for the meal.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was at. I was like, okay, clearly, and it's fine. It's fine. Like not every single live stream was going to top every single live stream from the month before in my eyes. Like this is my personal perspective. Like I want to be a fighter, and so the fighter live stream is just going to take precedence over other ones. But if you are going to do a stream where you're addressing player Q&A and feedback, they hit every single one. Like I remember vividly talking to you about issues that the community has with the game, and I remember rattling them off, and I think they hit every single one that I rattled off. And I can't think of one that's been big since in 2024 that they missed.
No, I think they've hit it. I think they hit it out the park too. Here, 1 second. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna slowly transition into the AMA review portion. So we have a while until we have to submit questions. Yeah, the Magma was really good, especially with the nighttime.
HD just said 2 out of 10.
Okay, somebody block that guy.
That's fantastic.
Yes, do a video on astronomy. Yes. You know, relation's gonna go too hard with it. He's gonna
Oh my gosh.
he's gonna
so good.
he's gonna do the research. There's gonna be clips of him in the library. He's gonna actually go outside, examine the stars, and he's gonna do some big research and how it correlates with ashes and tell us what they might have planned. I look forward to it personally.
I will say also, I don't want to just say that it was just answering things, but they did do. I'm sure you talked about it quite a bit, but the fact that they went in depth on a skill tree for a weapon is sorry guys, for me, for guys like me and Nice that really like combat, we like playing a bunch of different characters and all these sorts of things, the more build diversity you can give us, the better. And the fact that they have it now, like they had it in the class tree, and like we saw with the archetypes, we know we're going to have it with classes, and now we get it like way more fleshed out with weapons. It's good to see that they're heading in this direction.
Yeah. Yeah, I got like a crazy storm going on. Apparently, I hear like crazy thunder. So here's what we're gonna do, chat. So once again, for everyone that just came in or wasn't aware, I will be taking part in the AMA that's upcoming on the 10th on the official Ashes of Creation Twitch channel. So I have literally just one question that's solidified, and then I have 2 questions that I want asked, but they're flexible, like they're not set in stone. My goal is to listen to the community and get you guys' questions or questions that we can all agree on out there. And so what we're going to do here, and so that's what I'm saying, like that 2 and 3, really just placeholders. If we get something better, and obviously I'm going to take your feedback on those questions. If we get something better, then thank you so much, Relation. If we get something better, then we're going to exchange it for that. So with that being said, once again, we do have the Discord pinned where you can go submit your question. And what we're going to do now is we're going to, I'll tell you what, let me pull up Discord. I'll just do it via Discord, or should I just do a Word document? Let me do a Word document. Hold on, chat. Actually, no, I'm gonna do Discord because this white mode is. Oh, did y'all see my face brighten up just now? Oh my gosh, I can't handle that. I'll just edit it in Discord live. I need to have Discord open anyway. So we're gonna go to the Voices of Verra Discord and make sure you guys can see my screen. There we go. All right. So what we're gonna do is in the Discord, you'll see a section here, and I know it's really tiny for you guys on you guys' end, but we're gonna go to what is my questions. As you see here, I got just 3 questions. I know you guys can't see that, so I'm probably gonna have to make this bigger. There we go. And here, 1 second. Let me bring up I am gonna have to use a Word document because I didn't realize how small Discord looked, and you cannot like magnify it or anything from my understanding. And what we'll do is we'll go through the community suggestions. So there's a spot where you guys, I said 3, but I think some people put like 10 suggestions in there. So we'll kind of go through. And before we start this, I just asked, I know everyone has what they feel are can be perceived as bad questions. Let's not be too critical. Everyone has different desires from their game. They have different desires from their MMO. They have different things that they want asked. Like I said, different things that's considered a good question, a bad question, whatever. What I'm looking for is something that a lot of you respond to, something that makes us all go like, oh, you know what? I didn't think about that. So yeah.
I think I have a better way of saying this, Nice. Okay. So not that was bad or anything, but guys, I just want to say, as we're ramping up to Alpha 2 of the AMA, this is just the first iteration of questions. We will be working on them. This is a work in progress for the AMA. Don't look at this as a finished product. We are constantly working very diligently with our team behind the scenes to get everything taken care of. I hope you guys understand and just take that into mind when you're reading these questions.
Yes. Well said. Well said. Can you believe Steven had a bug during the stream?
He had a bug?
Yeah, like the huge, I don't even want to bring it up. I'm still traumatized from it. All right, so here we are. Here we have some. I tell you what. Let's put chat somewhere else. Let's put chat. Let's see. We'll move you guys down here.
Wow, I got nothing. I thought for sure that was good. Okay, if tough crowd. Okay, I'll keep working, guys.
All right, so chat. Here we go. Oh, wait. Shimmer said, I really want them to do a round of the ability icons. That's the square look. I think the abilities looked okay. Are you talking about in the trees? I could see that. I could see that.
There was a really good point brought up in my video today, and I meant to bring it up, but the point that was brought up was the reflection in the water looked brighter than the source. And I was like, I honestly saw that. I saw that too, and I didn't bring it up in the video. So, but yeah, I thought it was a pretty good point.
I think that's a good point. Yeah. Before we get into the questions from Discord, I'll try to take some questions from obviously live chat, but I want you guys to understand with all the chat coming in combined with the questions that we already have, I'd prefer if you submitted it via Discord, but of course I'll try to get some that come up as you guys type it in. Of course, especially once we are done with questions. This is probably not something, like Elle said, that we're not going to solidify tonight, but this will give us a jumping point. I will be doing another stream. We have another Voices of Verra actually before that stream, but you know, I just want to be completely open and transparent with you guys and make this like our AMA, if that makes sense. So, and sorry for this white screen. My goodness, I wish. Is there a dark mode for this? Because my gosh, oh my gosh, I guess not. No. Oh wait, app theme. Hold on. There's a setting. They're literally. Oh god. Chat. I found dark mode. Oh, everyone, you can now turn your brightness back up. Okay. So here.
What are you having a problem with?
Oh, I was using Notepad.
Oh boy.
The white mode. He said, Fopo said, no worries, we can get replacement retinas. Okay. So let's go ahead and get into these potential AMA questions. And for the record, I'm not really going to go into detail with no questions from other content creators. That's their space. We're going to pretty much focus on the questions we're going to submit from this community for the community. So let's start with question number 1. This is the one I really want answered. And of course, everything's subject to rewording, grammar corrections, etc., etc. Here, how do I zoom in? Control plus, right? Yeah. I think that's as good as I'm gonna get. All right. So first question was something basically with the weapons list. This is a question I see so commonly asked that people want, and that's why I made it number 1. It reads as follows. What is the current full list of weapons planned for Alpha 2? And how are these weapons categorized? Are all one-handed weapons the same, or does a one-handed axe differ from a one-handed dagger, especially when dual wielding? And this is my main one. The rest of these, I got 2 other ones, but as you can see, they're placeholders. But this is the one I'm like, okay, I technically already worded this as best as I could for the most part. But basically just asking for a weapons list, generic question that I think we've all had. What weapons are going to be in Alpha 2? What weapons are going to be available to us? And like some games have weapons share the same type. So like a two-handed axe versus a two-handed maul. Does two-handed axe have its own weapon tree where it has like bleeds and stuff that it specializes in? We saw the greatsword skill tree. So I'm thinking that's the case, right? So we do understand that. But when it comes to dual wielding, are you going to have to level a dagger skill tree? Because remember, you have your 1 range slot, and then you have your 2 front slots, which can be, occupied by 1 two-handed weapon or 2 one-handed weapons, or sword and shield, et cetera, et cetera. So if I go dagger axe, like, am I going to have the weapon tree from that? If I go dagger in this hand, if I go axe in this hand, do I got to put points into each of those skill trees, and it's dynamic? Or will dual wielding have its own skill tree? That one I kind of already figure, but I think it'll be a good question for us to get like an overall summary of the weapons and what we can expect.
Okay, I'm gonna stipulate right away, guys, that I am not against any question. Like most questions are good questions, like most of them are. I'm just going to play devil's advocate here. if you're asking Steven questions, I think the worst case scenario is if he can't answer it because it's going to come up in a future live stream. And so the only thing I would say about this question is, if you're going to ask more in depth about weapons, is there a chance he just says, I'm not ready to talk about it now, and he saves it for a future live stream and kind of eliminates your question?
That devil's advocate, that response can be literally applied to most things, and that's the fun part. It's so easy. Like, I have a list. I think all of us have a list of questions that you would ask Steven, but it's really not about asking or just finding the 5 good questions. It's kind of like what you just alluded to. What are the least dodgeable questions? Like, yeah, exactly, relation. He could say that with everything. What are the least dodgeable questions? And that's the goal here today. What can he least have the chance to dodge? Not at liberty to talk about it. So with the weapon ones, I feel like he'd be I feel like he'd talk about it. Also, Margaret is gonna like pre-screen some that he'll probably just give that response to, or they're not ready to talk about it. So we do have that. But that, I think the goal, it's easy to like come up with interview questions, I think. Like, okay, here's 20 questions, like, oh, we know about this. Oh, what about this on the open season? What about this? But I think for us as a community to come up with questions, he's not going to give us a short answer and just like, I can't talk about that right now. It's going to be so hard.
So,
and it's about finding the questions that are least, like I said, least dodgeable for sure.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, I don't think he will dodge. Like, technically he could dodge every question. All I'm trying to say is if you think the question could be a whole live stream, that might be something that if Margaret's pre-screening, then great. Like, it's not a big deal. But like, as an example, and it's not a big deal or anything, I'm not upset about it. But like, what we talked about last week, nice, about balancing, that's not going to be a live stream. Right? Like, that's not
Right.
going, that question as an example isn't going to be a future live stream. So he's less likely to dodge process. He's more likely to dodge something like, hey, when is Alpha 2? Hey, what can you tell us about in-depth weapon dynamics? What can you tell us about bonuses you can get from armor? Like stuff like that, that's like a little bit more specific, could be problematic in that, hey, like, that's a live stream, and so we're not going to talk about it. But if it's getting pre-screened by Margaret, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And Galwood here says Steven was asked about the Alpha 2 weapon list before on Ashen Forge, and he did just outright dodge it.
So let's put that there. Previously dodged. That one I did not remember.
Do you have a link to that by chance, Galwood? Just by chance, because I'd like to see what they asked.
Which one was that? The Theory Forge or Ashen Forge?
They said Ashen Forge.
Ashen Forge.
I can go look at that later. It is a good question. I'd hate for you to have 5 questions. And he's like, nope.
Right. And also someone in chat made a good point. I want to take out, what is the full list of weapons planned? I don't care about the 4 Alpha 2 part. That's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Planned.
Yeah, that's fine. That works.
And so the question would be, what is the current full list of weapons planned, and how are these weapons? Yeah, okay, that's a lot better. Who pointed that out? Thank you so much. They point out because like it could be confusion or something, but yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, Rob. Thank you, Rob. All right, Sir Onsington. Anything that has to do with balancing will be dodged, ignored. Weapon speeds, damage numbers, raid boss kill times are all examples of not great questions because they will be answered with Alpha 2 testing. Exactly. That's the whole point of Alpha 2. So asking, and I'm a fan, I want to know that. I want that answer, but I know like 2 years of Alpha 2 is how they're going to balance things. And I think that's the bland answer that we're going to get. But the thing is, I think most questions can have either A, B, that can be dodged easily, yes, or B, find out in Alpha 2, or something like that, subject to change. I don't know. It's just like, oh wait, Junk Ninja said, what's your opinion on this question? What is considered optimal time to kill a player that gives them a chance to decide to fight back or not? That's a good question. I like that question. I think it's something important, like, how long is it going to take you to kill a player before they decide like, oh, I'm gonna flag back up against you, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, I could see that. Okay, so that's the first question. We're gonna review this before next AMA pre-stream, I'll call it. We'll probably do another stream this week to really solidify some questions. I gotta look at this one if it was previously dodged or how it was dodged, or do I think like it'll be a better time to ask because some time has passed and they have a little bit bigger of a vision. But if this was straight up dodged before, we may want to consider revising this one, chat. So next is a placeholder, but it's one that I thought of yesterday. I think it's gonna probably need some rewording, etc. We'll figure that out. But here's something that this is not one that needs to stay here. This will be subject to change, pending we get a lot of great community questions. How you doing, Crash? Welcome on in. So this one is nodes and world progression determines a lot of content, making each server different, subject to different node advancement levels, story arcs, and more. Will players be blasted with announcements when content is unlocked? And more importantly, how it was unlocked? Like if Winstead became a metro, if Winstead becoming a metro opens a dungeon cave previously blocked by gravel or spawns a dragon, will players know that this cave was unlocked, let's say via the node advancing, or will you prefer this be a secret for players to discover to avoid server metas or ruin discovery? We actually talked about this one on a Voices of Verra before, like, certain things in the world is gonna predicate certain events. A node leveling, a node being sieged may spawn a dragon. Killing too many fairies in this forest spawns a beast over here that attacks a node. How obvious would that be to players that that's what caused that event? Like, is it just gonna be a message like, "Hey, because you did this, a dragon spawned here," or would you guys prefer like more immersion?
See,
This. Go ahead.
sorry, I was going to say this is a really good question. This is a perfect question because, yeah, like this won't be on a live stream, and this is something we need to know. Like, is this going to be a worldwide announcement, or is it going to be relegated to sectors? Right? Like, if it's a node area, like a point, if it's a specific point of interest or whatever. This is a really good question. I like this a lot.
So like. And obviously, I'm going to shorten this question. Like the first part doesn't even need to be there because obviously Steven knows how this works. But it depends on how much they let us preface the question with. So obviously, this is like I said, chat. Don't worry about the wording. Just the main message, like this one right here. We prefer this kind of stuff of how events are unlocked be kept secret for players, or is there just going to be a message? I know he spoke on it one time, like you'll get a notification that a dragon spawned here. I think he used that exact example, if I remember correctly from the quote. But how do you guys feel about that? You know? But yeah, this one I like. I wouldn't even mind if we don't think the weapons list is a safe choice, chat. And we'll figure that out. I'll actually talk to Margaret about that one later. But if we think that one will get dodged too easily, I wouldn't mind moving this to like my solidified one, but we'll see. And this one, I don't remember what this one. This one's not actually gonna go on the list. This was literally just so I can have something to fill there. But this was meant to be one of those just to get Steven talking, Just most followers understand that Ashes of Creation is a work in progress, subject to change because you may have mentioned it once or twice. But do you feel the Alpha 2's first impression is important from a marketing standpoint because it has potential to be unfairly judged as a finished product by those outside the core community? I don't actually want to I don't actually want to ask this question because I think it was like a question I got from my interview list, but I don't think it's worth an AMA question. And plus, with Ashes of Creation being it's a test environment, right? I don't think Steven is too worried about outside perception. He constantly says it's a work in progress. So in that sense, I think he knows what he's bringing to the table.
So I do agree with you. I think it could be workshop. Like how about this? Like, hear me out. Instead of saying it that way, say, what are your goals for Alpha 2? Is there any other goal outside of testing for the game? Like, for example, I just marketing. Are you looking at marketing in Alpha 2 as well, or is it just strictly testing? Are you looking at marketing in Beta 1 or Beta 2, or is it only when the game comes out? You could do a question like that, I think.
True. Like Margaret answered that within the last two streams. Actually, I'm remembering it now. She said as they get closer to launch, I'd have to find it, but it was a segment after the stream is what I remember. So I'm gonna just get rid of that whole one, and then let's go ahead and get into the Discord questions. But yeah, that's the only one that I had solidified was the weapons list one, chat. So we're gonna get the Discord questions.
And this is why we're running it through with you guys, because Galwood here says, "Oh, there's no video, but I found the Discord logs talking about it, which reminded me Ashen Forge was asked beforehand by Intrepid to not ask about the weapon list. So you could ask and see if it's still off limits, but it might be off limits."
Yeah, Fuppo said she said closer to launch. Yeah. Okay, I thought I remember her saying that recently. Okay. Mechanics should have existed, and we hope it exists in Ashes. The fact that you can drop gear and weapons in New World defeats a large part of the crafting system. Make name drops with specific perks above it. Majority of players don't worry about crafting, but only care about farming.
Yeah, it's still a good point, Galwood. It's a good point to bring up, because I want Nice to get his 5 questions. And so I'm just gonna I just want to help him get 5 questions.
Okay, so here's one question from Maz. They say, and I know you guys can't see this that well, so bear with me. So Maz says, will Bard's DPS be more range or more melee focused? Not a bad question. That's something I'm curious about. With there being a range slot, a melee slot, and them, kind of letting you play how you want and use whichever weapon on each archetype viably, I could see that one just kind of be given that generic answer right there.
Which one is it?
Maz Mundi. Wait, can I sort this by, okay, yeah, let me sort this by date posted.
Okay.
Can I change this? Okay, this is a little bit easier of a view. Yeah. This is fine. Yeah, we'll view it like this, chat, and then we'll go like that. Yeah, there we go. There we go, chat. Once again, link is pinned in the chat. Next is from Burns, posted 15 minutes ago. All right, so here's from Ashes of Relation. Thank you for subscribing, Trip. Appreciate that. Burns says, in organized PvP, how will we be able to tell the difference between friendly and enemy AoE spells? For example, how can I differentiate, I cannot say that word right now, from my team's Blizzard or Divine Flare from the people we are firing? And then he also says, can all 5 metros be on the same continent? If not, does that correlate with the castle ZOI boundaries too? I like that one, especially the first one. I know, like most MMOs, you can hide your allies' effect for performance, but if you choose not to go that route and your teammate uses a Blizzard, I wonder if they'll do like let's see who does it. ESO New World does it. Does Guild Wars 2 do it? I'm not sure, but how you can have that red effect around an AoE or something like that, so you know that, oh, this means bad. But yeah, there's some that's not ground place AoEs, like the example he used, like maybe a Blizzard. That maybe it's gonna be tougher to see. I like that question. What you guys think? Here, let me refresh this because it's not all showing up. I like that one. Might revisit that one. Okay, so Stalwart says, does the 20% instance content include in-game raids? Do shields have their own weapon tree? That's a good question. That is a good question. I would.
Okay, where are these at, Nice? I'm looking at our AMA questions.
So I clicked AMA questions and then I did sort view by date posted.
Date posted, yep. And then I have a list.
Yeah, I don't know. I just clicked it. Go sort view, date posted. Maybe click it twice.
That's so weird because when I go over the more active posts that pop up, but I'm only getting like 9, 12 of them. I'm not getting Burns's. That's so weird.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
See y'all.
Oh, you don't see Burns?
Okay. I think I got it sorted.
Okay.
All right. Which one are you on now?
Oh yeah, I like Steven's answer. That sounds like the strategy. Yeah. I am at Stalwart, posted 4 hours ago. What's tonight's topic? So we just got done reviewing the the lighting and wand combo stream, and now we're pre-screening some potential questions for the AMA upcoming on the 10th.
All right.
How they're going to handle respawn mechanics of mobs. They have a system that will increase mob name quests, mob spawn faster. Yeah, for launch day. Yeah, that's something I'm sure they're ironing out. I think that's very important as well. Do shields have their own weaponry? That's a see, and here's the thing: a lot of these are good questions. It's just like, do you want that to be one of our 5 questions? That shield
I'd say no.
weaponry one, that's the thing. It's like a good question, but AMA question, can wand be equipped with shield? That's what someone in chat said the same thing. That's something I think is the case, but yeah. All right, so Keo, you found Keo?
Yes.
All right. So I wonder, is there
Yeah,
I was about to say, is there a way to make it bigger?
My perspective, guys, and just a thought for questions is the best questions I've heard in any AMA with Steven or anybody from Intrepid in general is when you can make them open-ended. So if you do something closed-ended, like, will this have this? It's just a simple yes or no answer, and they're going to move on. Yep. It may be great, but like the best questions are when you can get Steven talking really excitedly about the game, and he continues to talk, and he talks about other things. And so, if the questions can be open ended, that's the best way to go about doing it.
Yes, completely agree. Like when you can get like pretty general with it, and like over like animal husbandry. If we could find a good animal husbandry question and just like get him in general talking about that again, if we got something that wasn't answered, but kind of keep the whole system as a whole as a focus, that's when we probably get more information. Never know. Next month will be bigger though. Node Wars probably. Yeah. All right, Keo. He said he'll be adding questions as he figures it out. He has 5 questions here. All right, so he says, will wars and sieges have any kind of synergy between each other, or are wars and sieges completely separate system? This is actually relative to that long post that we read during a recent episode with node wars being different from node sieges and everything like that. That's a good question. Number 2 is, what is the intent behind not allowing vassals to siege/war against themselves and masters? Why not let players decide if the vassalage is in their favor instead? So Steven kind of addressed this, I think in March, where he was just like, essentially he said, and I think during today's stream, he said something along the lines of this about someone basically leaving to go join another node to attack, because you can't attack while you're in the vassal of that metropolis or whatever, right? You'd have to go leave, siege that node that's controlling the other node, then come back to the other one. So what Keo is asking here is, why not just let players decide if the vassalship is in their favor? That one reworded can be a really good question, like, because it seems really complicated, but I think it's what Steven wants. Number 3, we've seen an event/commission showcase that dynamic events rewards everyone that participates on it loot chests at the end. Are you worried this will cause the famous New World chest run and trivialize these events? World Zergen is one that I actually had on my questions list, like how they're going to control it. I am aware of one of Jamie's questions, which literally was the same question I was going to ask and very similar to this one. So I think we got that one covered.
Great. That's a good question.
Relative to World Zergen, because that's a really, really big concern. Because my thing is like, yes, they've said the boss is going to get quicker. The boss is going to get more difficult depending on how many people are attacking. Stuff like that. If you kill it too quick or how many people are in the area, it'll do different AoEs. But I think with 50 people Zerging something, thank you for the follow.
I do think that's a good question. And yeah, if Jamie has it, great. So
yeah. Keo says, we've also seen a couple of quests on some showcases. All of them revolved around killing X mobs or interact with object/person. At Alpha 2 launch, will we see a bigger diversity on quest objectives, or will quests still be placeholders? Number 5, on the same note, will you guys use this use some type of misdirection tactics when it comes to testing content in Alpha 2 to make launch a fresh experience. For example, shuffling quests between nodes or biomes, introverting rewards between. So basically, like making sure that everyone that played Alpha 2 for so long isn't just going to play the same thing at launch. Like we already know, where this quest is going to go, what reward it's going to give. They're going to have the optimal route to get to level 50 because you've seen everything. You know the rewards. You know what gives the best XP. You know what spawns where, et cetera, et cetera. How much is that going to change from Alpha 2 to launch? I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it seems like a rough summary of his question. Okay. And if any of these stick out, chat, make sure you let me know. Like if it's something that you really like. All right, so let's move on to Tyrol. All right, so his question is dodging and blocking. Will each archetype be equally efficient with shared mechanics, such as dodging and active blocking? Good question. Or will they have their own versions and flavors of them? If so, could you give some examples? I
That's
remember
a good question.
a long time ago, they said like each one has like a different one. And I think they've moved away from that because I've seen everyone do the same dodge roll.
I
I
do
think they
like that
all have the
question.
same one. I really like because like a tank should have a better active block. Obviously, I
Yeah,
don't think there's anyone that would disagree with that. Um, yes, it's gonna be a long one tonight. It's gonna be a long one tonight. Trent. Um, Rob says, "Did you guys hear the part about potential boosting?" I hope that. Yeah. He said something about if you're in a group with someone and they're like not within 10 levels of you, they don't get XP. Or if you're killing a mob not within 10 levels of you, like you don't get the shared experience for that kill like you normally would. Something like that.
that's
That's really
great.
cool.
That is
That's
great.
really good way to think ahead there. That's really smart. Really smart. But yeah, I really like this question. I really like this question. And you know what? Maybe we can take this question and kind of incorporate
Workshop it.
like yeah, like workshop it. I would love to sneak in a comment about iframes there because right now I really don't get the point of dodge. Or you know what, I want to dodge an active block question, and
Yeah.
this serves as the basis for it.
Yep.
I really want one. I've done 2 videos on it. I think we need this as one of our questions. Good shout, Tyrol.
So
There's a lot of good questions we've already read, but this is one I'm already like first chopping block. It's already met.
yeah, so I remember last year they asked like, "Are we going to have active block?" And they're like, "We don't know yet." So
Yeah.
so having I haven't heard the update. I don't pay attention to all Discord comments and everything, so maybe they've updated. But hearing an update off of something that I last heard of a year ago would be good. So a dodge roll block question I think would be very good. Or passive mechanics. I guess you could lump it in with passive mechanics.
Yeah. I like that one. And I'm not gonna word the whole question or how we're gonna, do it, chat. I'm just gonna I'm copy and pasting his question, and then I put in parentheses iframes, parentheses stamina bar, because just to kind of work that in there. We'll try to like work it in there.
Just write it like this. Steven, where's my iframes? And then just
Yeah, there you go.
where's my iframes?
So I like what Rob said here. He said, question for Steven. Do you have iframes when you dodge a question? Oh, okay. So we
I
got
said
to
that.
put that in here. I remember. Okay. I'm about to say, I remember you making a similar joke.
I made, yeah. So how did I write it? I said it in our DMs, and it was something like, I said something like, since we don't have active dodge, since we don't have iframe dodge and Ashes of Creation, do we have your word that you're not going to dodge any of our questions? I think that's what I wrote.
Yes. I like it. I just put all these in parentheses. This is just something that we'll try to work in the question if we got space, chat. I like that one. But yeah, stamina bar. I think I was probably the first content creator to bring this up when they first showed the active block during the day and night cycle. Like everyone did a review video, and I was like, nah. I noticed this. Why is this cleric just sitting here holding block with no downside? And yeah, that one's really important to me. Like, because it for them to be at this point in their combat system, which looks great, for them not to have like their mind made up on if they're gonna do a stamina bar or whatever seems weird. I was watching some video and he dodge rolled, and I think he tried to do it again, and it said, what was the message that came up on screen? like charges not available or something. Like, so maybe there is like a 2 dodge roll thing on a cooldown, like Guild Wars 2. I don't know. But that's just me, you know, tinfoil hat in it. But I do wonder what their logic is. Or quick, Trent says the dodge may be wait, the dodge may be not because of iframes, but rather rolling puts you underneath most swings and casts. Potentially, maybe just like something just to get your distance, or a quick dash backwards so you can dodge the telegraphed attacks that use a lot of stamina. Oh, okay, I can see that. Is mana's health, stamina, and courage too many bars? I don't think so. I think 3 bars, you're fine. When you get more than 3 bars, so you got your health, mana, and your class thing. Red, blue, and what is more likely going to be yellow. I think that's fine. When you got 3 resources to manage, that is fine. When you have 4 plus, that's overwhelming to me. That's very overwhelming to me.
Can I
But yeah,
just
good question.
Can I just briefly comment how great it is that we have people commenting on all these questions and approving and disapproving in our Discord? I think that's awesome, guys. Thank you so much for doing that.
Seen that. Yes, great community. You guys are awesome. All right. So Tyrell has a question about gliding mounts. Given the huge amount of utility they can provide, how limited will gliding mounts be? Will they make ground mounts redundant? If not, what scenarios will ground mounts be better in? Good question. Solo PvE encounters. In light of the recent time to kill discussions, is the design for solo PvE encounters against normal mobs leaning towards a hack and slash style where an average player can combat 3 or more mobs, or a tactical style where engaging 1 or 2 provides a considerable challenge? Good question.
Well, I like that.
Or are you planning on utilizing any technologies like on-demand content streaming to delay/hinder data mining? This is an interesting topic. I as much as I like learning things ahead of time, you know, leaks, whatnot, data mining can sometimes ruin an experience. New World gets data mined out crazy. Like
6 months in
I
advance.
yeah, it's just like ugh. I hope there's no data mining. So that's a good question. Number 5 is an illegal Alpha 2 related question. Do not look. Oh, so I gotta look then. Alpha 1 had 200 quests. How many will be on Alpha 2 launch? Oh, how dare you ask that? Why'd you make me look at that? Wow. Keo says, I second all these questions. A lot of feedback here. Look at this. Look at all this feedback under this submission. Very good job, guys. All right. Rob said, I'm personally more interested in questions about the bigger picture. All these specifics don't matter to you, honestly. Yeah.
That's where I am.
That. Nothing too, and that's the thing, and that's why we preface this. Like, there's so many good questions, but it's like that's so niche and specific that is it something that we need to know? Like the gliding mounts one, like that's something I would like. Oh, okay, I could, if it got brought up or if it got selected during the after gameplay thing during the stream, like okay, I know that now, but it's not something like I need to know right now with my one AMA question. Tell us about the gliding mount utility.
It's like you found a genie's bottle, and instead of getting 3 wishes, you're given 5 AMAs, and you're like, I have to pick the right ones.
Yeah. Good comparison. Here, let's see. You want to read the next one? We got Lineker. Lineker typically has some good stuff. You want to do Linekers?
Yeah, I gotta find it real quick. Sorry, I just lost it. 3 good question suggestions. Lineker, while we understand that Alpha 2 will last for as long as it is necessary, what are your personal and subject to change? Well said. Sorry. What are your personal and subject to change expectations on how long ideally Alpha 2 would last for? So when game, in regards to how many months, a year, possibly. So this is the best way to go about asking it. I do like the question, like, hey, what's your goal? But I don't think that's one of those I don't think he'll ever answer, because like he's not going to say like ideally we want, because if he says something like, yeah, we tentatively have it planned for a year from now, people will be like, holy shit, we have the game coming live in 2025, and if it doesn't happen, then everything melts down. So I do like the question. I do like how he worded it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm with you. It's gonna be one of those. I like the way it's worded, but it's not gonna be one we get an answer to. I will say this. Margaret, for the last 3 streams, has emphasized how long Alpha 2 is gonna be. She's done a good job of that. Like, she's made it clear. Like, she said a long Alpha 2.
Yep.
Like, at this point, I'd be surprised if it was less than 2 years, the way it's seeming.
All right,
We'll get to the newer questions afterwards. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I noticed a pause there. That's my bad. What is the current plan for how Alpha 2 testing will work? Is it free-form testing like Alpha 1 with access to all the available content? Is it oriented testing, and will you be wiping regularly or try to only wipe when necessary? This is a good question. So I do like this one, but it's a scope of Alpha 2. And it's one of those, like, do you want to do scope of Alpha 2 questions, or do you want to do scope of the game questions?
Oh, yeah.
So this is a very good question, Lineker. I'm not trying to dodge that. It's just one of those, like, hey, you have an AMA. Do you want to ask like broader, like big question things, or do you want to ask Alpha 2 things?
Yeah. Yeah, that's like how I took the Alpha 2 part out of my weapons question earlier. It's just like, it's not too relevant. We're gonna get there when we get there anyway.
Yeah.
I think some things about Alpha 2 is important. Like, you know, how many classes is going to be there or whatever, but does it really matter? Will it change anything? Probably not, but yeah.
3, something we often in the community is that development only really started after APOC or Alpha 1. Could you elaborate on that? Did part or most of the work that was done from 2017 to 19 get lost? And how much out of Alpha 0, APOC, and Alpha 1 is being used in Alpha 2? That's another good question. That's
really
a good
question. That's actually a question I have on my list of 20 questions for Steven. That's something I'm curious, because to me, it seems like the game they just started fresh. Like I'm actually curious on how many assets are still being used. Like, because to me, it seemed like they started their timeline over, especially after APOC. I would imagine that's still relevant. But from Alpha, I watched some and I came up with this question like maybe 8 months ago. I was watching some Alpha 1 footage, and I'm like, that doesn't even look the same thing of like the showcase I just watched, like not even remotely as like a, you know, like as a basis. It doesn't even look like the same game. So that's something I've always been curious on too. That's a really good question. I'll definitely keep that one in mind too. Do you want to read Dawn Eris?
Sure. Dawn says, what kind of in-game guild management systems are planned? This is perfectly open-ended. I like this. In-game guild management systems are planned. That's perfect.
I love that style of question.
Yep. Perfectly open-ended, asking something like very good information that we would get that not necessarily would be in a live stream. Is there any out-of-game guild management support planned, such as an API or an official Discord bot? I thought they said that they weren't going to do anything out of game, but I could be wrong. I could be misremembering.
Yeah, so that's actually one of my questions that got answered for the question of the month a while back. I asked about like I forgot what it was, but I think I might have worded it as like, is there going to be a mobile app or no stat tracking? That's why I asked about. I was like, is there going to be a way to track our stats, like how many kills we got, how much lumber we've chopped, et cetera, et cetera. And they said it is on their like radar to do an app to track that kind of stuff. Yeah, mobile app on Wiki. They did answer that question. They did say it's part of their long-term goals.
Okay.
If guild management will be supporting such a thing, I don't think they specified that, but I would imagine they go full on in with the mobile app potential. I hear Destiny has a good mobile app. That'll be like something probably close to what they want to do. But anything with stat tracking and ways to do stuff like that offline or from your phone, I think especially this generation will really, really like. That's a good question. Okay. Here, I'll read Blinston. He says, can you describe how player feedback will be organized and fed to developers during Alpha 2. So this is something that they speak on a lot, almost every stream, but they don't specifically say how they're going to do it in Alpha 2 because it's going to be a lot. They talk about how they pull questions from Discord, forums, all this other stuff, and then present that information in a cohesive format to like Steven or whatever, and combat team, whoever the relevant parties are. How they are going to do that during Alpha 2, I'm sure it's going to change, and it's going to be a lot different with take into account like how you say actual player feedback. Like this is people actually playing the game, so it's gonna be a little different. I'm imagining they're actually gonna need a lot of CS reps even during Alpha 2, but we'll see. But that's a pretty good question.
Mhm.
Number 2, AOC has a dynamic economy, but real economies often have large gaps between the rich and poor. Are there any plans for addressing economic disparity in Ashes of Creation?
Are
Bro
you
is worried about the middle class and AOC.
are
Let's
you
go.
asking about communism, Flintstone? Is that what's happening right now? No,
Uh-oh.
that's another good question. I do like that. I like that point of view because, so this is branching off of that question. Like, what happens if you have a new world style duping issue where the economy goes out of whack and there's like 10 people that have 60% of the gold in the game, right? Hypothetically, or 60%. Yeah. So what would you do to combat that to not completely ruin the economy across multiple servers? Like, do you have a reset button to go back and take care of it? Like, what would your like that'd be something I'd be interested in. I don't know how interested other people would be in that.
True. A good economic question would be really nice. Didn't they hire someone that's specifically for like in-game economy designer?
Mm-hmm.
I think they did, or at least they had it listed.
They had it listed for sure.
Interesting. Let's see. Concats in chat says, looking the game evolve, are we getting closer or moving away from what Steven imagined and where we stand, a man's dream or teamwork? They are actually delivering more and more so on each promise that they ever set out. We're getting more and more information each month. Obviously, a lot remains to be seen. The game is still developing and everything like that. But yeah, something Steven has done well is stick to his guns and stick to his vision and not budge, which you got to respect. But yeah, we're getting closer. We're getting closer. Q3, baby. And number 3, after AOC is released, would Steven consider designing other games with Intrepid Studios?
I like that question too.
Huh. It makes me wonder, like, how long is that timeline to where they start looking at other games for their brand? Like, is that like a year after Ash's release and things are comfy? You like, all right, let's go ahead and get in development for the Intrepid first person shooter, or are they going to be so invested in this one they're like worrying about DLC expansions and this, and then it's a while before they feel comfy to branch out? I guess it all depends on like maybe a nice battle royale. Yeah. Yeah, that would be very interesting to see. Good questions, Flynn. Plastic limes, oh I'm sorry, lemons. Lemons reveals his top 3 questions for nice. Hello, guys. Welcome to my forum post. Today, we've got a big one. Make sure to add me as a friend on Discord and go ahead and give me a follow on Twitter at Plastic Lemons. That will really help me out. Okay, let's get on with it.
Wow. I am modding Plastic Lemons.
Number 1, will bosses have global announcements when they spawn? Or will players have to rely on communication and scouting to know when bosses are up? I like this question because it's like my node question, chat.
Yeah,
it's just like overlapping. This one.
Because it's still announcements. So it's like global regional announcements.
I really hope it's a word of mouth. I hope there's scouting, like real scouts. Dude. And I wish I could say all this when I ask the question, but you don't want to get long-winded with it. But like the example I would give is like Diablo 4, like you knew online via a wiki when a certain boss was going to spawn. The game didn't tell you, but players had got down the whole freaking algorithm and timer to where they knew when that boss was going to spawn, where it was going to spawn. And that's just not fun to me. And that's where you get to that stuff that I think it was Tyrell or somebody else talking about earlier, where you get those world trains going, and zerging down world bosses. I really want to minimize announcements and Vera. Like I want to see very minimalist approaches, very immersive. Everything doesn't need a banner just flashing across the screen. Some things obviously like maybe you say this event started, choose a side, or maybe your caravan's constructed. Maybe you keep the node leveled up message, notification go out to the world. When everyone will see a message says Winstead leveled up to stage 5. Stuff like that is fine. But when Winstead does go to stage 5, I don't want to know that that caused a dragon to spawn an area XYZ of the desert biome. And now the whole map is gonna zerg this dragon down. I want it to be a word of mouth, like, hey, you were just here yesterday. Now you're walking past the same area and there's a freaking dragon here. When did it get there? How did it get there? Why did it get there? You check Reddit and your friend on a different server says, hey, we don't have that dragon here. What did you guys do differently? I don't know. Let's figure out what could have caused this dragon to spawn. And that's where I think you get that word of mouth. That's where you get that sense of community, that feeling, and you get a bunch of players tied down to solving one mystery. I saw this a lot with like Elden Ring lore, where people are just like piecing together, like, what do you think this means? What do you think this means? Or what do you think caused it? And that's gonna build. There's going to be a community solely dedicated to that, min-maxing story arcs, find out what caused what and how do you unlock this. Leveling what node locks you out of which content. Not leveling this military node, now you don't get access to this Hydra that spawns out on the sea, which drops this specific gear set. And so now you want that gear set, you're going to need to pummel a certain node on the map to get access to this gear set. But the guys on your server never leveled up that node. So now, somebody's got to go. And the more you keep that a mystery, I think it just adds to player-made lore, if you will. Like, it just adds to that sense of mystery and immersion is the best way I can say that. Fuppo says, should a notification for a node leveling up only appear if you have been to it before?
I like that idea.
No. I would like it. I don't think it's necessary to be a thing, but I would like it. Yeah. Like if you haven't even explored out there, what's it mean to you? I would like that. I would like that, Fuppo, personally. Like it's not a deal breaker, but that's something I would like. I think less. And you would think Steven would go for it because he's not about the, holding players' hands. And I feel like he's about that player discovery and exploring the worlds, which is why they're not revealing but so much before Alpha 2 or showing but so much. I don't know. That's something I'm really passionate about. So, you know what? Low key, I'm so interested in this question. I kind of want to move it to my number one question.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm going to do that.
So I do want to say, I think we slightly disagree on this. Nice. I don't want world announcements, but I'm cool with regional announcements. Like, so if you get a piece of lore in the area, I'm cool if it pops up in a region. So, like you brought up Elden Ring as an example. So you're piecing lore of like what happened with some of the previous gods and everything, but you also have the badass cutscene every time you go to fight them. And so I'm not against like if you're working, like if you're a citizen of a node, like if all of a sudden like you have a brief, like if you're online at the time, it says like you have that 1 minute cutscene, like, hey, a dragon spawned in your area for this, and you have this badass cinematic. I'm cool with that personally, as long as it's regional.
Regional, yeah, I think depending on how regional, like what regional would mean, like as far as the distance, I could see that. I could see that. Story arc notifications, I think it's important. That could be regional, that can be global.
Yes.
Like I want to know when the Tower of Carfin story arc starts and comes online. I think that's fine. But the dragon thing, I wouldn't want to be sitting at a node about to craft something, then boom, dragon cinematic. Hey, go find this dragon, kill it, because then we lead back to what we were talking about earlier, where let's go zerg that motherfucker down. I don't know.
Yep.
I'd rather get that sense of discovery, that word of mouth. Like you got to know somebody that knows somebody in Discord. Like, hey, yo, hurry up, the dragon. But yeah, story arc, I think, you don't want to end up missing out on that just because you simply didn't know.
Yeah.
What I like I said earlier though, I do want how that story arc unlocked to be kept secret. Although I think sometimes it's just gonna be so obvious because I don't think you're gonna meet the conditions and the developers are gonna go out their way to make sure the event starts 30 minutes after you level this node. I think
Yeah.
I think that's probably we're doing too much wanting that, but yeah, I can see that if you're close enough. Like I think if you're close enough, it's definitely warranted. Yeah. Here, let's see. For some reason, my YouTube chat keeps going out. All right. You want to do who's next? Who's next? That was Lemons. Oh, by the way, Lemons left his number 2 and 3 empty. He said, "Okay, guys, thank you so much for reading this. I appreciate all the support you've given me over the years. Thanks." He said, "Clickbaited." You want to read Aiden KD?
Yeah. So Aiden says, since any class can use any weapon, how are you going to balance allowing as many weapon types as possible to be competitive? For example, a fighter might typically use a melee weapon, but would a fighter with a wand be able to pull their weight by your design? Okay.
Okay.
Leading on from the first question, using another example, I understand that there will be a larger ability pool which should help determine playstyles, accounting for different weapons. How can a ranged fighter's weapon skills help to complement a more ranged mid-range playstyle versus a melee-focused fighter? Interesting.
What is a fighter ranger? I forgot. It was something. Is that a duelist? No. Duelist is something with rogue fighter.
No, yeah, it's fighter ranger is like
weapon master. No.
If only there
fighter
was
ranger. It's a cool name.
I can't remember. I don't have my phone on me right now.
Ashes of Creation Fane. But yeah, you know what? I'll go to that later. Easy says he addressed that in today's stream. He said something like there will be odd picks for some classes. Yeah, like some are just gonna be better for certain classes than others. Yeah.
The tone of my question is not.
Yeah, it's fun.
The tone of my questions is not what I want every combination of weapon abilities to be top tier, but I'd like that the gap between some of the niche specs and traditional specs to be smaller. So final question. Quite often when it comes to spec balance, we're accustomed to seeing the top dogs nerfed and the very weakest buffed, and a large void in the middle is usually left alone. Do you have ideas in place to help minimize the gap between the strongest and weakest specs to try and allow more spec diversity competitiveness between them? Very similar to the question I was talking to you about. This is obviously I like this one. So
yeah. I really like that one too. That's a big thing to me. I play Necromancer on ESO, so it's crazy to see one class keep getting buffed and so useful and good, and then one class is just like, do you guys remember this one exists? Like, some of that love this way. And so wanting to know how the devs are gonna stop from repeating that mistake, and wanting to know how they're gonna approach their balance and logic, where they're gonna get their feedback, I feel is very important.
Yep.
Where I think everyone also just feels like it's just gonna get dodged. Oh, we got alpha 2. We're gonna take feedback, and but I want to know their approach. Like, what is your mindset? Like, how everyone says like, oh, our game's gonna be balanced, or we're gonna do this, but I've seen it not done. I've seen it not done.
Yeah, I think if you ask their approach, I can't imagine scenarios where Steven's dodged those questions. Like other ones, it's been because they was going to bring them up later on down the line. But anytime people ask him like their, what's the way to put it? Anytime Steven's asked like their mission statement for how they're going to go about doing something. So like, hey, what is your approach going to be? Not that, hey, are you going to do this? Like, how are you going to approach and identify these things? I can't imagine a situation where he's backed away.
Yeah. Let's say top dogs there for try to allow more spec diversity. That's spec diversity. I like what he said there, because I really hope there's not. We've said this so many times, but I really hope it's actually 64 classes, and that some combinations are just non-existent, because it's like, or everyone knows or assumes that, okay, archetypes are just a flavor of, it's basically your main archetype matters and the other one's just like a little flavor. I hope that's not the case, and I don't expect 64 true classes, but I do hope that specs matter. Like, if I'm a pure fighter and I'm gonna get to fighter rogue, like I hope I have to address that fight differently. I hope me and him
Yeah.
have different builds and skills look different. Like, oh, you're a fighter rogue. I can tell that now. This is an interesting fight. I haven't fought one of you. Like, I hope those genuine combat interactions actually happen.
Yep, I agree.
I see this one is answered. Oh yeah. So I won't read that one, Liliosa. Okay. The number 2 question was, will narration still be a thing? We have seen it in older clips, such as when Mage was opening a door with their spell and text popped up describing what's going on. Will narration still be a thing? Older clips as when Mage was opening. Do you guys know which clip they're talking about? Go and pen them. I don't know what that one is referring to. Are they meaning voice acting or just like story narration?
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're referencing. I can
Hmm.
ask.
Yeah. Okay. I'll read Virals. Viral wants to know, will PvP be turned on? Oh, and shout out to Viral for getting this all organized for us. Really appreciate that,
Yes,
dude.
thank you,
He
Viral.
got this all set up. Viral says, will PvP be turned on day 1 of Alpha 2? Yeah, I think that's a concern a lot of people had. Number 2, will we see, because people just don't want to get like ganked, like someone in chat was just talking about, just gank day 1, just full of carnage. People can't progress and do anything. Number 2, will we see a stream of guild features? Like, will that get its own dedicated stream? Interesting. Number 3, how many nodes at the launch of Alpha 2? That's something I'm actually curious on too, because I want to know, because we're not gonna have every biome. Like, are we really gonna get a true representation of the gameplay loop in the node system if only there's only enough nodes for two metro, excuse me, and basically everything else becomes under that vassal, and so there's not too many node sieges, node wars, because they got to spread those out, or maybe they'll have like it redesigned temporarily just for the alpha to accommodate for lack of said node amounts. That's a good question, because with the smaller test environment, especially on one continent, at best we won't even have the full continent in Alpha 2. It's gonna be interesting to see how they combat that to make sure the world doesn't get stagnant, so that we can actually test a lot of these systems. With limited world size, what is the anticipated server size of Alpha 2? Great question.
That is a good question.
Man, that's a really good question. Like, how many servers are we going to have? Is it going to be like a 5K pop per server? Especially for an alpha, like that would be big. I wonder how many servers. I'm sure they're going to have EU and NA servers,
Yeah.
but how many of each? Will it be US East? Will it be US West? Or is it just going to be NA, EU, and then 5 on each?
Yeah.
Like, how big is this going to be?
What is your anticipated server size, and how many servers are you planning on having for Alpha 2?
Mm-hmm.
Because then we'd have
Tyrell,
an idea for how big the population would be too.
True.
That'd be fun.
Tyrell says, good question. Even if we ask this, I think they changed the plans with only a few months left. Yeah, it could be changed so much. Okay. So now we're gonna go to the questions asked since we started streaming.
Okay.
I think. Oh, I didn't see Trent's here. We'll do Trent's. So Trent says, realistically, what things mentioned that will be in Alpha 2 will not be present in the first week, like at the launch of Alpha 2? I.e., can we get to level 35 or only level up to level 15? And then they're going to open up the cap later. So basically, what things will come in Alpha 2, but just won't be ready at the launch of it? I guess that could change a lot. Good question. Good question. Okay. Let's jump to Ethan the Epic. You want to take this one?
Yeah, let me here it is. Question: can we make it so named items, aka items with forced perks attributes, do not be very common? Why? In New World, there were thousands of named items that could be farmed as drops of specific properties and perks. This system made it so the majority of used gear was farmed instead of crafted. This system I always felt absolutely destroyed the crafting system, as crafters were no longer required to play at a high level since the gear could be reliably be obtained through farming. They've already come out and said that crafting is going to be the strongest form of gear creating. So this, I do like this question. I don't think the named item drops is going to be an issue in this game. They should be outdated, I would think.
Yeah. You know what's weird? I would almost pose that the question should go the other way. Like, are we going to have it? Because we, like you said, we know crafting's going to be the best weapons. If anything, maybe a good question would be like, are there going to be named items that are worth grinding for, or that give that player a sense of having that epic weapon that not too many people have? It has a special effect, a special glow. It's strong, or is it really just crafted weapons? Are players going to be are named items even going to be sought after at all? I would almost go in the reverse with that question.
Okay.
Name girl from the world comment on the idea because it's desired by the developers. Yeah, I would almost go in the opposite. I would actually, yeah, like I said, I'd actually be worried about the opposite because I feel confident that like you crafted, it's gonna be crafted gear. I like having like named items, of course. Feels good having a crafted weapon, especially if you crafted it and it's really good. But
yeah,
some named items like that are effective is really cool, especially if it has a unique look. If it has a unique look, which I mean, most named items would, I think it feels really epic when you do get one.
Yes.
You want to read Uzaru?
Yeah. Would you mind it if AOC added a passive mode like in GTA Online for people who don't want a PvP, but they can't do certain features that involve PvP like caravans, naval, etc. Only gathering, crafting, fishing, etc. I personally like the feature as it lets casual players learn and experience at their pace and not the top dogs forcing a pace on them. For example, if they aren't at a certain level in gear they want to get to
the tavern's rating. I can't hear anything. They're rating so loud. Woo. Welcome on in, everybody. Welcome on in. Thank you for the raid, Vertec and Bree. Thank you guys so much. Welcome on in.
Thank you so much.
We are we've been pre-screening a lot of question suggestions that people have left in the Voices of Verra Discord to make it on the list, and we're just like, you know, a lot of this is work in progress. I want to do an AMA, have our questions be from the community, stuff that a lot of you guys agree on. I got like one question that I'm probably gonna be like, okay, this is the one I want to ask, and we can go crazy with the rest. But for now, we're just like looking at questions in Discord. Apologies for the view. I can't really zoom in on Discord, so this is the ugly view we're dealing with. So we're reading them out loud.
Yeah.
But if you want to get back into this one, or if you want to start over with this one, it's up to you.
Yeah, they're just asking for like a passive mode, which I don't think Steven's changing his systems.
Yeah.
So
Ozaro essentially wants a passive mode like GTA Online, but the downside would be that you can't, you know, do things like caravans, naval. I think it would contradict so many of the systems already in place that it wouldn't even like Steven wouldn't even go for it, and it'll create more questions and issues than it would solve. I know some people are not wanting that aspect of the game, or it turns them off, or they're nervous about it. But yeah, so I totally get it, but I don't think that's the solution, perhaps. Vertex says, what was your favorite improvement you saw in the live stream, and why is it the ball lightning? That was a huge improvement. I'm gonna say the nighttime. I really thought that the lighting in the artisan stream was we contrasted it today. Like we showed it like almost side by side, back and forth, and it was pitch black. And this was perfect. Like, you know, it's nighttime. Like, it's dark so that you know it's dark. You know it's nighttime, but there's enough light to where you don't feel like you're in a survival game or it's overwhelming.
sure.
When do you think the Bard update will be? Oh man, let's see. August. I'm gonna say August.
They brought it up again. So yeah, I would say it's in the next few months, 3-4 months.
And Rogue has been canceled. That's the rumor going around.
I'm not saying anything. You guys are breaking my heart.
Why are wands so cool? Wait, this is an AMA. No.
You guys are breaking my
Rogue
heart.
or Summoner? Oh, Summoner won't even be an Alpha 2 by my guess. You'll definitely get Rogue.
There is a
Vertex says,
bard.
I'm all about some PvP, just like to cry that PvE is being left in a dark and scary night. PvE is going to be scary, especially if you're not into PvP. I totally get that. There's going to be times where I do not feel like PvP. I'm over here grinding. I'm over here doing my thing. I'm just trying to get to my dungeon and link up with people. I'm in my PvE gear with my PvE skill set. And some guy's like, I bet you're holding up. I bet you're holding a lot of materials. In reality, I don't have nothing. I'm like, dude, not today. And I try to ignore them, and they just like still force. I'm like, all right, well, I'm doing this now. So it's gonna be something. Or there's gonna be times where I did gather a lot of things, and I got a caravan, and it's me and my 3 buddies, but we happen to run across a group of 15 that was on a way to go clear a dungeon, but they saw us instead. Like, ooh, nice little caravan you got there. So it's gonna be a lot of risk versus reward for all of us for sure.
We got more questions here. We got 3 more.
Rogues and dude, the rogue was in today's stream. You guys just wasn't paying attention.
All right. I saw it. But only rogues can identify other rogues. So
yes. So we got one from Gallwood. The Gall. Gall says, do you expect the beginning of Alpha 2 will feel a little crowded since the content is based mostly near the Riverlands? Or will you control Alpha 2 player density by limiting the server capacity at a lower level than launch to reflect this smaller game space? That's a good question.
I like that question. That's a good
really
way to
like
go
that.
about asking it too.
Mm-hmm. I think it's like already worded perfectly too.
Yeah, I think that is a really good question because if you want to test how often you're going to get PK and how often these things are going to happen, having the proper server density really makes sense.
Yes. Thank you guys so much for the raid again. Really appreciate that.
Yes, thank you.
That kind of ties into the server size question that someone just posed. Like, I mean, if it's like 2,000 people per server, maybe being constricted to just the Riverlands don't feel as bad, or maybe they have 1,000. It's a lot of questions still left, still remaining about Alpha 2 for sure.
This question can, like, the way Gallwood has this answered, if they are restricting it based off of density, you can then like do the math yourself and go, okay, so if we have three biomes, what is there, 16 total biomes or 15? Like you can then do your own math, like, okay, this is roughly how big Alpha 2 per server is going to be, which is cool.
Vertex says, my favorite theory on Rogue. They've been showing the Rogue in every live stream for the last year. On the debut live stream, they're going to point out all the hidden rogues, just little Easter eggs everywhere. Yo, if they actually get away with showing something in one stream that's like an Easter egg, a little secret thing, and no one notices it, I'll be so surprised and very impressed. As much as people just stare at that stream and break it down over the course of a month, if no one notices like a little Easter egg or something that they left, that would be amazing.
I know a few content creators that would potentially have an aneurysm over missing something on a stream. That would be hilarious. Not an actual aneurysm, guys. I'm just mean, like, they'd be like, how did I miss that? It would be great.
Always invisible, hiding in the bushes. Facts. All right, and last one. This one was posted 32 minutes ago. Oh wait, no. I think that one.
We got 2 more.
No, this is new.
Fast travel and loot. Yeah, there's a naval and a fast travel and loot.
Okay. This one's from Ethan the Epic. How will storage/economy system work related to fast travel? Will owning a freehold in a dead/unpopulated node be worth the inconvenience of traveling so far to trade/be useful? I think I can already say that's something that the player would have to determine if it's worth there. I mean, because freeholds seem very beneficial. Even if you got to like go out your way, it's not gonna be better than one in an optimal area, but you got a freehold. So I think that's really for you to assign the value. But let's read his context first. He says, in New World, a large amount of the game relied on the nodes being spread out, forcing players to make a home base because of the Azov system, a system that required a resource to transport goods through fast travel. This created a problem because you generally wanted to reach all your stuff at all the time, and since you could not easily retrieve items from distant locations, Therefore, everyone made their home in the center nodes of the map while leaving the others out to dry. Oh, so he's talking about back when New World didn't have all the
Yeah.
shared storage and all that other stuff. I fear Ashes will repeat the failure of New World, and we will have nodes that are dead because they are not profitable, not favorable because of their distance and raw inconvenience. And the real world that exists too. That's why lots of people do not live in South Dakota, for example.
Wow, why are we bashing? No, it's fine. It's South Dakota. It's fine.
True. But at least in the real world, if nobody goes there, then the free real estate is valuable enough to draw people to the location. This is a good real estate question. Like how much, and I would reword it to a system. I like where they're going with this and their
Yeah.
approach. Like I would make this like a real estate, more of a real estate question, which is essentially what they did. Like how important will location be? Like where you settle your node, where you put that freehold at. I know they spoken about putting freeholds near important hunting grounds, to how that can be profitable for you. Setting up a business near one of those. So I think that's a really good question, actually. A really good question.
Yeah, I do like this question as well.
He does raise a question that I never thought of. Yeah, thank you so much for the follow. He does raise a question I never thought of, is dead/unpopulated node. Do you think this will be a thing?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I never thought about like a certain part of the world or a certain node just being like, there's no point in being here. It's not near. It's a low level area. It's a level 2 node, so it's a low level area. It's not near any popular grind spot. It's in the bottom left corner of the map. It's not near the ocean. It's just no point in being there. Like you got your end node housing there so you can have it for the heck of it, but it's like no one goes there.
I don't see regions being completely dead. Like I guess I should be clear on this. I don't want to get any flack for it, but as the server progresses, we'll see a natural decline of people not logging on as much. Like servers get older, less and less people hop on, which means that people will naturally move away from some areas and they'll become more and more sparse. But I do think that if they get their resource collecting areas done properly, where you can only get in certain resources in certain areas, it will assign value to those outer areas. And people will still go there. So I don't know if they would necessarily die, but it'd be a lot more sparse, I guess would be the way to put it.
That's going to be interesting. Someone in chat had a good question. This was actually, I think, a dev discussion. What, like the Dream Node dev discussion? They were like, what type of node do you think will be the most popular near ocean? I think coastal nodes are winning. Coastal and like center here. If I could, let me
that
go to
island node.
Ooh,
that island node is winning.
I'm just wiki map. All right, so if we look at the world map here, I would imagine like what's this area right here? Right here. Like without even looking at the big version of the map. This brown area, it's in the middle and it's near the ocean. It's like, so something right here, like if I'm just looking at a map for just pure location real estate, I would want to be right here. It's the center biome and it's next to the ocean. A coastal node right about here is winning. And you could obviously apply the same logic to the eastern side of the continent too. But yeah, I would definitely want something right there. Yeah, and then you got underrealm nodes. I always forget that's a thing. I can't imagine someone wanting to settle underground. But if y'all want to commit to that full-on Tallnar roleplay, you do you.
Friggin' dwarves. You guys make me sick.
You just know dwarves gonna be in the mountains just because they feel they have to. You want to do the naval question one?
Sure. Will naval gameplay feel intense and engaging for the entire crew? Or what will the gameplay look like for someone who wants to engage in naval gameplay systems? As an avid Sea of Thieves enjoyer, I have my opinion on what fun naval gameplay involves. Good. Because I've never played Sea of Thieves. I've always wanted to, but I've just never gotten into it. When playing Sea of Thieves, some of the most fun I've had playing the game has included high-intensity ship battles. No matter what you are doing during the ship battle, Shooting, driving, repairing, bucketing, boarding their ship, etc., you always feel like the most important person on your crew. This is because without you, you feel your crew's ship would sink. This does not even touch on the high stakes of transporting your loot. I assume this will work like the caravan system for loot. Notice I said feel because you do truly feel like the MVP at every moment of the gameplay, even if you are not. This game really gets the feel correct. I do not want to engage with a situation where only 20 to 30% of the crew feel important. This is something I fear with the large ships of players. How could everyone feel critical if there are so many people? This is I like that part right there. So
Yes.
If you wanted to try and like narrow this down as a question, how can everybody on a ship feel critical on a large ship transport? Part of what makes Sea of Thieves so good for naval combat is that there are so many things you must keep track of that made the depth of the game so easy to understand but difficult to master. I hope Ashes follows the ideas implemented by Sea of Thieves for the naval combat system. Good question. I like the question.
So I think I want to move this. I want to promote this question. I think I want to add this to the list, even if it's like a placeholder. I like this question because it's something on naval content.
Yeah.
I do feel like I need to double check if this has been answered because something in my head, man, I've rewatched too many streams, but I remember recently, was it in Discord or was it during a stream? Steven said, and you guys can help me out here. Steven said something. People were talking about utility vehicles and people, like, you know what? Actually, Steven responded to my question on this when he was like, there will be some vehicles that players will be able to, control stuff. I don't know if it was turrets or what, but what was the word I used when I did that? But that's not naval ships, so that could be something completely different. He could be talking about land vehicles for all I know. I know what I said. I said something about it being a drive-by, and he responded to it. Um, Here, it's in this Discord somewhere. Maybe I wrote it or spelled it differently, but I know he talked about it before. You guys remember the moment I'm talking about? I wonder if let me put it from me. From nice mounts. Ooh. Yeah. Okay, I think this is it. Maybe. I hope. Yes, I found it. Okay. So I typed where is it? You just want to do a drive-by on the back of a mount as a mage or a ranger. And I could have sworn Steven responded. He did. Yeah. Okay. So I said the real question is, can we fire from the back of duo mounts? Caravan attacks will look like the old Western train robberies. And then Steven responded saying, haha, there are fun component options for vehicles and ashes. This was on November 29th of 2023.
Okay.
There are fun component options for vehicles and ashes. So that lets us know that it does exist to some extent. And I would have to imagine if he's talking vehicles, my question mentioned duo mounts, but maybe some caravans later down the line, they'll allow for someone to sit on a turret. Yeah, dual mounts should get y'all want to do a job by with mage? Let me know. That's one of our questions right there.
Wow.
But no, in all seriousness, I think that could be. Do you guys like that question? Not this one, but the naval one, like how to make naval content. I mean, we'll reword it. So let's. Good suggestion. We've had some good questions, but that's one that I think we can go ahead and move on up. Group mounts will be cool. So I'm gonna reword this, but I want to. Here, I'll tell you what. Let me copy this part. Thank you for the follow, Chris. Appreciate all the follows, likes, subscribes, donations. You guys have been so awesome. Really appreciate it. Everyone, make sure you follow. Appreciate it. Really helps. So we're gonna do something like this. Will naval gameplay feel intense and engaging? How? Thank you so much, Diesel. Dieseldom. Dieseldom. How how will naval gameplay feel intense and engaging for
Crew members.
everyone, for crew members?
Yeah, you could say, so you could provide the caveat and say, considering the size of the ocean and how long it takes to travel across it, what systems will be in place to keep crew members engaged and having fun with it, or
I
however you want to
like
word it.
that. You know what that also makes me think about? And I don't know how Arcade did it. Arcade is shutting down, by the way. Maybe I should go ahead and log in and find out. But um, I don't know if they did this, but you watch the Titanic movie. I mean, I think modern ships still need this, like what do you call it? Not a coal room. Not is it a fuel room? Where the guys are just down there shoveling stuff into the furnace
Yeah,
to
they
power
had
the
a
engines.
coal.
Engine
Yeah,
room.
yeah,
I wonder if even something like that to like make sure the ship stays mobile, or maybe if you're just solo, there's certain ships, smaller ships that can be self-driven. But if you want to move a big vessel, you
yeah,
require a crew to
like
be
a
moving
galleon.
that. That would be cool. Yeah, that would be so cool if we can reword this to like get all that in there. I think this is. I think we might have found another question, chat.
I think it's a good question because, yeah, when you look at the big naval ships, I mean, just put yourself in the position of a crew member and you have to ride across the ocean for an hour. Are you just going to stand there the whole time? There's nothing to do. Like you're on
Yeah.
a ship, so like what do you do? So I like that idea. I like that idea of making sure people are incorporated.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I just saw your comment, okay, there, yeah, about the freehold placement. The edges will die. Yeah. That misses the point. Sea of Thieves intense during combat, outside of combat is boring. Well, I think we're focusing like how are we gonna make naval gameplay, naval combat engaging? So and obviously the open seas is a corruption-free zone, right? There's gonna be PvE there too. Their best loot's gonna be there. You wanna like hunt this Hydra, this big, I don't know, crab in the middle of the ocean. I don't know. Like, how do you make it so that that battle is engaging for everybody, even from a PvE standpoint, right?
Yep.
How do you make it so like, okay, you got a tank or someone that shoots a harpoon to keep the monster reeled in, but that guy over there, what's the healer doing? What's the DPS doing? And obviously that's easy to solve, right? You have like
Yeah.
4 turrets, cannons. Is there a way to apply the Holy Trinity? You know who the most famous bards on the ship ever was? The guys that played on the Titanic as it sank, you know? That's why we need bards. That's what they're gonna do.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
I can't really think of anything else.
Well, and look at the land versus naval comparison, right? Like this is how I'm seeing it, and you guys can tell me if I'm wrong. But if you do a caravan shipment by land and you're escorting that, you could kind of venture off a little bit, maybe chop down a tree here or there. Like you can do other things on your way out there. On a ship, there's not like what are you doing? Like you're just on a ship. And so the question is are there going to be other things that you can engage with while you're doing it looks like it's going to take a really long time to cross that ocean. The ocean looks massive to me. So you want to make sure that people are actually finding enjoyment out of engaging in it, not just profitability. So, in
Uh,
my opinion.
Diesel says that's a dumb statement in my opinion. LOL. Out of combat and in combat are always two totally different things. That's like saying farming is boring. I'm only going to PV. I misunderstand what's going on. Out of
What?
combat and in combat. I don't know. I don't know. Crew member stuff would be nice, like sails and stuff. Yeah, yeah, like manning the sails so that the ship can keep going. Little stuff like that. The fuel room comparison I was just talking about. Like all that stuff to keep everyone on the ship engaged instead of just like taxiing and just riding in the ocean. I'm all for. Uh Oh, gotcha, gotcha. He wasn't talking to sailing can inactive and interesting direction of the wind, perhaps controlling the sails. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just keeping people engaged, making feel like they're making a difference. It kind of goes back loosely, but it kind of goes back to that thing. I don't like world zerging. I don't like feeling like that dragon was gonna die whether I contributed it or not. I'm just some
Yes.
number in the area. Um, you don't want to feel like that on board a ship. And then yeah, when we factor in the deep water diving and stuff like that, there's so much potential with the open seas. I mean, look at literally Sea of Thieves. That whole game is that gameplay loop.
Yeah.
And that's only going to be a part. Do y'all understand that? That's only going to be one segment of Ashes of Creation. That can be someone's whole gameplay loop. They log in, when they first play the game, they do their normal leveling, they do this, they join a node, whatever. And then eventually they're at end game and they're like, I just want to do pirate role play. I just want to be out on the seas. I want to rob people. I want to pillage. I want to set up blockades. I want to do this ocean content. I want to go fishing and then head back to town to sell my fish at the dock, et cetera, et cetera. Like that could be someone's whole gameplay loop. So like nailing that makes it's very important.
Yes.
Especially for PvP enjoyers, because like we mentioned, it's a corruption-free zone. So that can be a lot of PvPers' actual end game loop. So getting that right and making sure everyone on that pirate crew feels like they, played a part is really, really good. Maybe you make it so that ships, they can move no matter what. But if you got more crew members doing this certain skill check, this certain mini game, your ship is going faster, just a little faster. And I think that's how you really maybe that's the way we're gonna word that in. And well, it's already worded in technically as is, but we're gonna rephrase this question. I'll be putting a couple of different drafts of it in Discord, and we'll Margaret says she's already gonna mess with the punctuation and try to sort them out if it's not already. But we're gonna try to make sure it gets everything in there. I think the dodge and active block question is gonna be a tough one for us to format. I'll try to do it. I'll try to pitch you guys a rough draft. But yeah, this naval one, I like this one. Very good question. Very good question. Like controlling sails on a large ship is not easy by yourself, even on Sea of Thieves. Yeah, see, that's good. And you know what? Kind of said already, but that encourages. This kind of gets back into that MMO thing. That you want players to play together. You want people to group. You don't want someone solo on the seas and feeling like a badass. Like you're not 1vxing in your boat, bro. You kind of want a crew. You're gonna want to meet people at the docks. Like, hey, I'm about to head out, go fishing, so I can make some gold. I'll pay you to man the sails and man the cannons if we run into some trouble. Like, bro? That's a fun game in itself.
Yep.
That's a fun game in itself. I really like this question. I'm excited. Because you know what's funny, else? I think everyone expected us to have purely the PvP questions, and we haven't had any. And I guess this could be our PvP-esque question.
Yeah, that's
kind of.
It's so funny when people just want to lump everybody into like a box of what you're PvP or you like PvP. Guys, I like games. Yeah. Like we like games. Come on.
Right.
Don't be dumb.
And then Ethan, who just pitched the naval question, has one more. He says, how will crafters be used into the late game? How will crafters maintain their viability into the far late game? In New World, engineering was used to craft tools. Eventually, everyone had all their tools crafted, and the prices of BIS tools dropped as each player needed one BIS to be done. So eventually, they're spread out everywhere. Yeah. Ultimately, this made specific professions like engineering in New World less desirable. Further into the game's lifespan, nobody needed any of their crafts anymore. Solution idea: upkeeping a gear item will require visiting someone with a high profession. Yes. Gold sinks. I think gold sinks. And needing to repair, I think they spoke on this. Like, it's not just going to be gold. Yeah. They talked about this. It's not going to just be a gold sink for repairing gear. It's actually going to take materials. Now, something I didn't think about until Ethan just posed this question. What if it takes... Okay, y'all, chat. Let me cook. And I don't know if this is what Intrepid's doing, but now I'm curious. Hear me out. So they said gold and a material sink to repair your gear and do stuff, right? Well, it was my understanding, like, okay, when I thought materials, I'm like, okay, you go kill this boar, he drops leather, you need leather and gold to repair this leather armor you got. But what if it's more complicated and more intricate than that, to where it keeps processors and or crafters relevant? What do I mean by that? And this is probably more so on the processor side, to be fair, but what if you just can't repair it with leather that you pick up? What if it takes a specific refined material? Like, rough hide leather, something that you could only get by refining it. That leather that you got off that boar, you got to refine it at a freehold, and it's got to be someone whose artisanship is specialized in that, right? And then you get that material from them, or you buy it off the trader, and then that's what repairs your gear, not that basic level 1 stuff. You need refined material to repair your gear. Is that too much of a gold sink or a thing, or do you guys think that is good? I know that's more of a processing thing than keeping crafters relevant, but what do you guys think about that? I never thought about it being refined material to repair gear or as a gold sink. I don't know. That could be next level. Nera says we already know some items might require the recipe to repair too. Ooh. And the fact that you can't max craft in every profession. Yes, yes. Nice. I'm pretty sure that's planned already. Yeah, see when I first heard that, I was thinking regular materials. I wasn't even thinking refined materials, like processed materials. Am I talking about ESO? No, no, no.
One no would have sufficed. Nice. Okay.
Oh, okay. I was appalled. No, I'm playing. Coolio, never mind. I just understood. You mean, yeah, like, okay. So to put it in ESO terms, yes, actually, yes, that's exactly what I mean. So if you were to refine 10 hide scraps, I forgot what they're called, rough hide scraps or whatever, that makes I forget the system right now, honestly. But yeah, that's roughly what I mean. Can't imagine them doing otherwise. Yeah, 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 yeah. Maybe the higher tier, the gear. There it is, chat. So you can go ahead and kill a boar, pick that lever off the ground, and you can repair your basic tier 1 armor. But as you're trying to repair tier 5 armor, you're gonna need that tier 5 processed goods, like that tier 5 processed material to repair that fancy gear. Yeah, I think that's what they must mean. I never looked at it that way. Hmm. That'd be interesting, because that makes the processors rich, as if they already didn't have things going well for them with their freehold processing and whatnot. But
Unbelievable.
that's interesting. I mean, you can just buy it off the trader, or you're gonna need to have a friend or a buddy that's willing to do that for you at their freehold. It would feel pretty bad to buy new gear but not be able to use it because there is none of the materials you need on the market to repair it. Yeah, that means you got to know somebody that knows somebody, Virus. Now you start getting into that supply demand thing. Now you start realizing if you chose the right profession. It definitely would feel bad. I'm not disagreeing with that. It will feel bad. But is that a good thing? Or is that just doing too much? You know, there's such a thing as going too hardcore and it's not even fun. You're just tedious for the sake of being tedious. And that's the question you got to ask yourself. Would that system that I propose or that is in place, I don't know, would that system be too tedious? Penham says, I think the key is to need lower level components and the creation of high process components. Yes, completely agree. Completely agree. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeedly. And I think they said something along that line. Shimera said, don't forget the sea shanties. Okade says, in Sea of Thieves, the end game is stealing everyone's stuff. Funny enough, this is the most memorable thing for most PvE players too. The time they got away. Feels like a hustle thing to do. It does. It does. Yeah, and that's how you keep those just to kind of go off on a small tangent, that's how you keep those low processing that low tier items relevant. To be honest, I will give New World one compliment. They did a good job keeping those low level things relevant because you need that to craft this thing to refine it to that thing to refine it to that thing. ESO did a horrible job at it. ESO, I was gonna do an ESO rant real quick about their crafting and whatnot.
Go ahead.
I mean, we can go forever, but I'm gonna just focus on one part. So you remember like 0 through 50, each 10 levels has a different kind of material that it uses to make the gear.
Sorry about that.
And you're not even the amount of time it takes you to get 10 levels, hashtag can't swim, I love it. The amount of time it takes you to get 10 levels is just like it's pretty fast. It's decently fast at least. And then what's weird is they have their CP level at the level 50. So at the level 50, you're CP1, CP2, CP3, and that goes so quick. You earn that experience so quick. Yet they still have materials from 120 to 130 CP. Then there's a separate kind of lever for 130 to 140, 140 to 150, and then 150 to 160. The amount of time between CP 140 or excuse me, 150 and 160 is dumb. It is literally killing. It's probably 10 more pools, if that.
Yeah.
So to make that a separate material, it's horrible. And because and then it's redundant on the market because no one needs gear during that specific narrow thing, and it becomes irrelevant as players level up. It's just weird, and that material is never valuable or it's never needed again. It's just weird. Did you make sure your questions are absolutely not already on the wiki? Oh, of course, and we'll of course do a final pass through. That's one thing. I If we choose community questions that not everyone likes, because I mean, reality is, and not everyone's gonna like everything. The least we can do, even if someone doesn't like the question, or everyone has their questions that they would have submitted. I mean, come on. I mean, look at how many questions it's submitted, right? Everyone has different things that they want to see.
Hmm.
One thing we want to at least make sure is that things aren't exclusively specified on the wiki. And there's some things that you can loosely say is kind of on the wiki, like but still things that we want to get an answer out of, like kind of like this dodging and blocking question. But that's why you have that one part, like, is it still different for each archetype where they have own versions or flavors of them? And then you go on to say, like, maybe we get something about dodge roll iframes, which is something that they've answered. They said dodge will not have iframes. So maybe I completely take that out. And then you have the stamina bar thing. They still are dancing around that. Do we want to implement that? They've been saying this for a very long time, since the day and night cycle stream, that they plan on implementing a stamina bar, but it hasn't happened. But yeah, this is just like stuff we gotta consider on our final pass. And before the AMA, I will have literally every question as is, full transparency for any additional feedback. I have an important question. Steven, how do you feel about Narc wearing underwear with your face on it? I wonder what his genuine reaction was when he first saw that. That's hilarious. All right, so I think that's all the questions.
Yeah.
We
I
made
think it's a
good
good start.
progress. Definitely a good start. Yeah. I would like to. Obviously, we're gonna get more questions as the days go by. And some things are going to come to us. Some things we're going to take off the list. It's like, okay, this is a good question, but this one is probably a little bit more high priority. um it's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be a interesting challenge, I think, for not just me but for the community, for us to like really, because it's going to be hard for us to come to compromises, I think. But hopefully everyone will at least agree that it's a good question, and hopefully we can make sure that nothing hasn't already been answered or is not too dodgeable, like with the simple, like, oh, we'll fix that in alpha 2, oh, we'll test that in alpha
Yeah.
2, or we'll just look at feedback. So hopefully we get that. Okay, they says, I am really looking forward to that travel question. When creating your final question, can you talk about Sea of Thieves PvP player, or about the idea, as they may provide you with details? Sea of Thieves is a lot deeper and more complex than it appears from watching a video. That's why I recommend talking to a PvP playing friend. I wonder if putting another game in the question would actually help. If they've played the game, it would actually help, I believe. Yeah. Luffy, thank you for the follow. Hmm. Yeah, we may be able to, because honestly, that's gonna be a reference that I know a lot of people. I would imagine somebody. I would hope Steven is aware of Sea of Thieves. Oh, you know what? We may not have to. I just thought about this. Okaday. Steven played Arcade. Steven played Arcade, so we could imagine that he's taken a lot from that. And that game was known for its naval MMO like combat and stuff like that, naval systems. So I don't think we need to have Sea of Thieves in the question, but I understand how Sea of Thieves is different, obviously, and yeah. Yeah, we're still going. Hey, it's a long one. Yeah, we just hit the 3 hours, 16-minute mark. My goodness. Um, Market so dead, so items won't ever get sold. Yeah, true backstabber. True. Yeah, the arcade. Yeah, arcade is a good thing to keep in mind when he's designing, when Steven's designing it. Thank you for subscribing, Diesel. Yeah, and lineage. I don't know too much about, besides like how their corruption system. Lineage, I don't know. I looked a lot into arcade. I'm no expert on it by any means. I did not, did not play that game a lot of hours at all. As will gold rewards in game change as inflation rises. Oh, like the amount of gold like a quest or a commission gives. I don't games typically don't do that because economies are typically player what's the word I'm looking for? Player they're based off the player for
Mm.
lack of a better term. So that really doesn't typically it's not something easy to do. Thank you so much, dude. Appreciate that. Yeah, player driven. Thank you. I don't know why the hell I couldn't think of the word driven. I've been streaming too long. But yeah, they're player driven systems. So I wouldn't imagine the amount of gold that the Minotaur gives you for turning this quest depends on how much else sold his cheese out on the market, you know? Hmm. But who's so getting back to the topic of the stream, I like the weapon tree. I like where they're going with it. The skill tree looks interesting. The skill tree definitely looks interesting. I don't know how I feel about it yet, but as long as there's choice, sacrifice, and opportunity cost, that's what I want to see. Um, hell, that's something I wouldn't mind putting as a. Yeah, they've been talking about it, and they're talking about it more and more each month. It's not worth a question, but I really hope they have a lot of opportunity costs, and they've actually, yeah, they've talked about that already. Mage usually hype. Yeah. See me, chat. What are you guys? It's time for me to do another poll. The only issue is YouTube. I'm only allowed to do a certain amount of I think 5 poll options choices.
Sure.
What archetypes are you guys? What archetypes are you guys leaning towards? I'm still tank fighter or fighter tank. It's gonna be the fighter. Oh, the fighter looks so good. I'm just not sure if I'm a fan of the tank's archetype mechanic. Penim says Rogue Ranger.
I think we'll see huge updates from the tank in the future. But yeah, what we've seen so far just doesn't look as good as what we've seen from the latest archetypes.
Yeah, I think that's my issue. It just the tank got it was it went so early ahead of the other
Yeah.
archetypes. So you know how they just revisited mage. I'd say revisit it loosely, of course, but I would love to see an update on that. I'm sure the archetype mechanics probably about the same, but I would like to look at the kit. I wouldn't mind seeing the tank, like how they let the mage go solo, or how
Yep.
they well, the fighter didn't go solo, but I wouldn't mind seeing the tank run around if it can do enough damage, because I would love to see that. But yeah, tank fighter or fighter tank for me. Viral says major cleric. Luffy says ranger for sure. Rogue, pure rogue. You want to
Let's
be a
go.
stealthy boy.
Let's
Undead
go.
Pally. Still don't know. Hawkeye, low key. Fighter rogue. I think else likes that one too. A
Yep.
rogue fighter. Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's me.
There is a chance I don't see me playing the mage. I just don't want to be as cool as mages are and as cool as I think they are. Like I don't see me going for mage, although I do like the blink ability. If I was to deviate from tank fighter or fighter tank, it would be the ranger. To be honest, chat, it'd be the ranger because I just love that kit. Like that's why I used to always say I'm gonna be a ranger main. But as I watch the combat, especially after the fighter showcase, I know that as an action camera enjoyer, I'm gonna be better suited for melee.
Yeah.
I think a ranged archetype, you're going to be better off with the typical tab target setup.
Yeah, for me, I know I'm eventually gonna have everything because that's just who I am. Like I'm gonna want everything. I'm gonna want to play everything. But yeah, fighter. I don't know if it's gonna be fighter or rogue yet, and then Bard will be my secondary, like my second character that I make for sure, because I want that group support utility class for whatever we need it for.
True. I haven't even thought about my secondary. Yeah, I guess that'll end up being mine is the range. I guess I'm gonna see. I'm greedy. I'm greedy. I'm a little bit more greedy with my approach. That's why I want tank fighter to work. You know, because the tank is the group support. You know,
Yeah.
and it's my PVE thing, but I also want to be able to PvP with it effectively.
Yep.
So if tank fighter can work, I will probably not. I mean, obviously throughout the course of Alpha 2, I'm going to test everything and maybe, after I'm hitting max level after launch, eventually I start my alt. But in a dream world, like in a perfect world, tank fighter can hold its own in like a duel or in a PvP scenario. And so I never have to get away from that. That's what I want. Like tank fighter will just check all the boxes for me.
Sure.
So because I do like tanking in PvE. I'll admit this. I love You know, else I love tanking in New World. Like I like managing threat and whatnot, timing your taunts, and I don't know. I just like tanking. So if I can be a tank fighter, I'm going tank fighter. I will not be pure tank. Ugh. No. Else with 8 alts, that's a lot of investment. Oh man, yeah. Oh yeah, they
It's
said
what I do.
11 is gonna be a while.
Well, see, this is why you get married, and this is why you get 2 kids, and you can just go on like 24-hour shifts of having them grind and level up characters. So it's not going to be a problem for me because it'll be a family event.
Am I weird for assuming you were going somewhere else with that? I thought you
Hey,
as far as trying each thing, I thought you were gonna say this is why you get married, and I was so sure you was
oh
about to say,
boy,
but then you become a swinger, so you could try a little bit.
no, I am a very secluded person that doesn't talk like that nice. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I would never say such a thing.
Phantom said that's why I married a gamer girl. Smart man. Smart
Yep.
man. Tank cleric. Yeah. So honestly, if I was to do a pure PvE tank, like I wasn't too worried about PvP and I'm just worried about surviving. And I think tank cleric, and this is just me talking with literal no, like just out the back of my head. Like I think tank cleric sounds more better than a pure tank. Like a tank that can heal itself and be tanky. Like that's crazy. I know it doesn't give you like new skills, but if it even adds like one heal augment to certain skills or increases your healing received, that's pretty cool.
Well, we are closing in on 2 hours here for Voices of Verra. I know you've been on for 4 hours now.
Oh yeah. We'll go ahead and
So what do
call
you
it
want to do?
here.
Okay.
We can call it here. And give the community some time to pull some questions. Let me think. Is anybody still live?
There
Let's
were
see.
lots of people live when I was looking earlier. Let me take a peek. Vladis is live.
Oh.
Jakizine.
All right,
I don't know who that
here's
is.
what we're gonna do. All the questions that we were on the fence of, but we didn't want to use for ours, we're gonna make sure they get into Vladis's top 5. We're gonna raid his chat, spamming the questions that would have been our number 6 question. All right, so Vladis is live. We'll raid over to Vladis.
Okay.
Once again, thank you guys so much. This has been another episode of Voices of Verra. We could not do this without you, the Voices of Verra. Appreciate you guys being here. This was a long one. If you're watching this at a later date and you're still watching, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much to everyone with the donations, the subs, the likes, the follows. Make sure you guys are following Else on Twitch as well, on YouTube. Appreciate you guys. It's going to be a fun and long journey till Alpha 2.
Yes.
And we'll be live again next Tuesday. We got another Tuesday before the AMA. And maybe we do a bonus stream. I don't know what else's schedule looks like for this weekend, but maybe we just do a random bonus stream this Saturday. Solo or me and else. We can sneak in another Voices of Verra. Because
Okay.
Steven has to come on our show, episode 50. So let's just start forcing episodes in.
Episode 50 is next week because we've streamed every single day this week.
Thank you for subscribing, Abarat. Really appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you, Abarat.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
Stick around. We are going to raid over to Vladis, who is like I said, another AMA participant. So yeah, appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. And let's go spam nice in Vladis's chat.
See ya.
No, wait, we should make a troll question to ask him. We're gonna ask him about boob physics. All right, y'all.
PvE servers.
PvE servers. There we go. All right, and does it rate instantly? I don't remember.
It can. Mine is right now. See ya.